All right, everyone. So I just wanted to throw in my voice and my opinion on this Marvel Rivals 40K drama, 40K tournament drama that's been going on with this player by the name of Kingsman and some other streamers, CC, Zaza, all of that stuff. I don't want to recap the drama. That's not what this video is about. I'm just going to be sharing my opinions on the entire situation. I watched different sides. I've watched Kingsman's video, I've watched CC's video, and I've watched a few other people discuss their point of views on the subject, and I'm just having my opinion on this. I do recommend, if you're watching this video, please go ahead and just watch those videos for yourself, or find a video that summarizes it a lot better than this, and then come back and watch my take on the situation. So let's get right into it, man. I wrote some pointers down of things that I was just thinking about as I was rewatching the situation, and just trying to fully understand both sides. Now, I want to make this clear. Please, I do not agree at all whatsoever in harassing anyone, whether it be Kingsman, CC, Zaza, or any of those other content creators that are out there. I do not condone that. I do not support it. I think it's very immature. I think it's unbecoming. Do not do that. You can voice your disagreements and you can be mature about it, and you can state what you didn't like about how they handle things respectfully without getting to personal attacks and stooping down to a certain level of harassing people. Because at the end of the day, guys, there are people behind the screen. That goes for everybody involved in this scenario, okay? And if you cannot understand that concept, I don't know what to tell you. Anyways, let's go on with this. I believe, all in all, that all parties were completely immature in handling this scenario. Everybody. Like, I'm more inclined, I would say, I think a lot of the stuff that Kingsman was saying made a lot of sense, and the perspective that he was coming from as well. I could understand his feelings in the matter, and really wanting to win. This is $40,000, guys. This is a lot of money. It may not be a lot of money to people. I know for me, that's a lot of money. Even though he would have probably got around like what, $3,000 for his share had they won. $3,000 is a lot of money to me personally. So I would definitely be a little bit on the antsier, more side of his, and understanding where he's coming from. On the flip side, though, to also criticize Kingsman, I don't think he was inherently rude in how he said certain things, but there definitely could have been a better way in how he proposed his suggestions, especially tonally. And I'll get more into that, why I think the tone is kind of important. But tonally, he could have also kind of maybe changed his perspective a little bit, because not everyone is receptive to feedback in the way that it was delivered like that. Not everybody's receptive to that. And I have my own personal experiences here. I'm a Savage and Ultimate Raider in an MMO called Final Fantasy XIV, and I work with 7 other people. And it is very important to understand tone, especially if you're going to be working with a group of people, in order to meet this very specific objective. Everyone needs to be on the same page. Everyone's vibes needs to be important. So that is an important thing, right? But keep in mind, that being said, though, he doesn't really know these people like that. So the way that you can deliver something can really affect how someone is going to be receptive to your suggestions or request. Okay, I'm not saying he has to baby them or whatever like that, but he could have maybe changed his tone a little bit. However, that being said as well, I don't think he was that aggressive. He could have been more aggressive. I have seen other people be way more aggressive than him and ask their questions in a much more aggressive manner. So I don't think he was that bad. But if you're starting to know, and like, if this has to do with social cues as well, and understanding social and having a big social awareness, this is super important, man. Like, when you're working with humans, you need to have social awareness. So if you're asking and requesting someone to do something and they're not changing, or their response is not the way you want, you need to reanalyze the way that you are speaking to them and restructure your proposal in a more polite manner. It might not be the way that you would want it, or you would normally go about it with some other people, but you cannot treat everybody the same way you treat others. Okay, but anyways, now to criticize CC and some of these other people now, I do not believe they responded correctly to this situation either. Because while I do think Kingsman could have been a little bit more polite with the way that he was asking things, I don't think he was that rude to warrant the response that he got from them. They gave him such a horrible response. The way that they talked to him, the way that they were insulting him, personally insulting him, calling him broke, calling him this, all kinds of personal attacks. And up until the point, even in the earlier stages of the VOD, if you guys watch the full VOD, he was not throwing any personal insults. He was not calling them any names. As a matter of fact, he even complimented the fact that Zaza is a really good Widow player. He was making an objective suggestion based on statistics. Okay, and I understand that. I get where he's coming from. So he did not need to be called loser, broke. He did not need to be told to shut the F up. Like, none of those things needed to be said. I mean, those are like they were very dismissive of his requests and his suggestions. And I understand from their point of view that they might have been annoyed by it. And like I said, them being annoyed was also a failure of him not being able to diffuse the situation on his own either. Like I said, I do believe all the parties involved did not handle the situation well at all. Everyone's social awareness is out the gutter. No one understands how to speak to people respectfully. No one understands conflict resolution. No one understands that. CC is a leader of this group, could have handled this much better. Conflict resolution, it was clear that she was siding with one person instead of really trying to diffuse the overall scenario. There could have been a proposal of, hey, maybe do this, maybe do that. Okay, let's see what happens, guys. Let's just calm down. Let's see what happens. These are scrims, and then we can talk about it properly and calmly. She didn't put her foot down in a respectful way that was neutral. It was clearly one-sided, and obviously that was affecting Kingsman even more. So again, nobody handled the situation. Everybody was very immature. I mean, I was cringing watching this entire video, trying to understand. And again, even listening to CC's perspective and everyone's perspective, I'm like, why is everyone acting so immature when this is a $40,000 tournament that can change some people's lives? All right, this is real money we're playing for. So why are we all acting immature? I don't understand that. Anyways, now going back to what I said earlier about being a raider, vibes are important. Now CC and them, they mentioned that vibes are important. That's one thing I can agree with them on. Vibes are important. For my personal experience as a raider, if people aren't really on the same level in terms of vibes or energy, it throws you off. It does throw you off. It does. I've literally had to kick people off from teams because they brought negative energy to the raid every single week. So it's not uncommon for someone to get kicked out because they brought negative energy, right? But again, there needs to be a conversation about this. There needs to be a clear conversation about, hey, listen, I understand where you're coming from and that you want this change. Can I suggest that you please at least rephrase the way that you're asking her to swap or something like that, okay? I feel like that could have been a conversation that was had on the side. But according to what I've seen so far, that never happened, right? It was a big ego-filled conversation, painting him out to be the bad guy, and then him also not reading the room and adjusting the way that he spoke. It was a big mess. It was a big mess. So I do agree that vibes, again, from some of you guys have never worked in an actual organized team in a competitive sense, or even in a hardcore mode, like raiding in WoW or raiding in 14 or something like that, which requires precise team work. To precise teamwork, and vibes need to be right. Vibes need to be right in order to accomplish these goals. Now, not all teams are like that. I will flip the script again. Not all teams are like that. Not all persons are like that. Some people are very pragmatic and they just care about results. They care about performance, and that's it. They don't give a damn about how you feel or your personal feelings, and then other people on the team also feel the same way. But again, that's when you are with like-minded people. There are more people in the hardcore scene, whether that be in 6v6 hero shooters or in the raiding scene, that their entire mentality and their mindset is a shared one, in the sense that they don't entertain things like personal feelings or like emotions and whatnot. They just care about performance. They care about the meta. They care about numbers. They care about results. And that's all that matters to them. And again, they are with other people on their team that think the same way. This situation with Zaza and them were not like that. It was not like that. They were not like-minded people. And that was also another mistake too. You know, setting up all these people in this tournament that have clearly different mindsets, different mentalities, it was never going to work. It was never going to work because while CC and so on are saying that they're being competitive, in all reality, when you're in a competitive situation, when you need to swap to a different character, you need to swap. It doesn't matter if you're one trick. It doesn't matter how good you are at the character. If the team composition has to be worked around for you, then that's a problem. Anyways, this also leads me to another problem that I have in Marvel Rivals as a whole, is that most people, most of the problem in Marvel Rivals in general is not even really the enemy team. It's always your own team. This can be in quick match, this can be in competitive, and then this can also be in tournaments. When you're in a tournament with people who are not already on a pre-made team of people that you have already vetted out and people that you work with on a regular basis, you run into this problem where there's a lot of egos flying around, there's a lot of opinions flying around, there's people picking other people's sides. There's never really any clear form or sign of working together. It's always just my way or the highway, or this person's story is more important than that person's story. And it's never anyone really working together. And you always just find you end up bickering with your team more than you are actually working together with your team. It's always about an ego thing. It's always about a this, or my opinion is worth more, or I'm a one trick player. I only play, in Zaza's case, I only play Widow. I only do this. So therefore, that's the only thing I can and should play. That doesn't help anybody. That does not help anyone at all. So I don't know. I just feel like the players, and this happens a lot in 6v6, hero shooters as well. People let their egos get to their head. They let their personal opinions and things like that kind of get in the way of the actual objective and conflict resolution and being able to actually work together, especially in a team environment where it requires you to actually work with people. I did notice in that video, though, there was one player that was trying to be the voice of reason, trying to at least have some type of conflict resolution, offering to swap themselves by saying, yeah, I'll swap, I'll do this. So there was that one person that was like, yeah, I'll swap. Like, the tension's getting too much. But it was too late at that point, to be honest, for anything to really be worked out in that situation. And it was, like I said, it was very hard to watch. One of the things I will say, though, I highly recommend that all of you who are watching this video, if you made it to this far in the video, if you are playing this game and you're going into tournaments and you're playing ranked, seriously, you're trying to get a top 500, top 100, whatever it is you're trying to do, and you want to work with people, I highly recommend just playing with a fixed team, finding a group of people that you can work together, where your mentality is the same, where your mindset is the same, where your goals are the same, okay? And then play with those people. Don't enter in these random tournaments by yourself with random people, especially in Marvel Rivals. This is especially if there's money on the line in Marvel Rivals. Do not do it. Do not do it. If you're already on a team, you get drafted into a team, and you're realizing early on that people are not really on the same mentality or wavelength that you are on, you need to leave that team. It doesn't matter. Or if you're the bigger person and you're able to adjust to work around your team, sure. And this goes back to even that, like Kingsman wasn't selling. He was doing really, really well on his character. And obviously, there was a moment in as well where Zaza did really, really well and she popped off. That can happen, okay? That can happen. But again, the issue was not about the off chance that she pops off or not, right? This is about communication. This is about the way how things were handled from all parties. Again, I will give Kingsman props that I don't think I think he tried his best to be as respectful as possible. You could tell that he was passionate about winning. Obviously, it's $40,000. It is a lot of money. I don't care what anybody says, that is a lot of money, okay? Especially to earn from playing a video game in a tournament, all right? I don't think he was being aggressive as they made him out to be. I have seen worse. I have experienced worse personally, and I've experienced true toxicity. I don't think it was that bad. However, it wasn't great either. He could have done a little bit more tonally to change his presentation of his points and his suggestion. And again, just to recap what I said, I don't believe CC, Zaza, or any of them handled their response to his suggestions well either. Like, from the jump, from the beginning, Zaza could have easily said, hey, I hear you, man. Listen, I do believe someone said that she did, mention that she can play some of those other characters. Now listen, hey man, listen, we're going to get into this thing. Let me try to cook first. And if it doesn't work out, I will swap. I will genuinely swap early. Okay. But for now, let me play what I'm good at. Let's see what happens. It took them way long. Now, she did say, I think someone did ask her in the video, yeah, like, would you swap? And then she was like, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll swap if I need to. But that happened way too late. Everything was already crushed. They had already written him off. He was already pissed off with them. They were already pissed off with him. It was already too late. They were never going to be a team. It was never going to work out. From the beginning, it was never going to work out. It was never going to work out at all. Just different mentalities, different mindsets, different drives, different goals. It just wasn't gonna happen, man. It just wasn't gonna happen. So anyways, that's my brief thoughts on this. I think I summarized most of how I was feeling. All I can say is overall, I don't think everyone handled as well. I think it was a very highly immature scenario to happen. I do still think that I don't think that Kingsman was kicked out fairly. I don't think that was right for it to happen in the way that it did. And I do believe everyone else on the team also needs to hold themselves accountable as well for how they handled the situation, because that is not how you handle things professionally. That is not how you handle things respectfully from all sides. I don't think they handled it well either. So yeah, all in all, it was just a complete shit show. And yeah, that's just my opinion on that. So anyways, let me know your thoughts down below if you agree with anything that I said. And yeah, that's it. I think that's all I have to say about the scenario. All right, see you guys later.